never seen that door open ever, I don't think.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Oh, you didn't get to go through one of our, for one of our trainings.
Oh.
Active shooter trainings?
Active shooter training.
Oh.
We gotta go in
That-
and hide the reason.
That's where Deputy Hepperly at the time made sure I got shot.
Yeah.
Oh, was in there?
He was, distracting everything. and I ended up
Oh,
getting shot.
okay.
I survived that one twice. I
Yeah.
played a good hide and seek one with my kids were little, so I knew how to hide.
The nut is hanging there so you can put it, so they can't open it from the outside. That would jam up the mechanism if you put it in the right spot. If you crank it shut,
Is there
and you
air
gotta put the
to,
nut right underneath that.
There's a
rod
window
that
in
goes
there.
up and down.
There's a window up high in there.
there is.
Doesn't seem real secure, does it?
Huh.
The window.
Doesn't seem very secure, does it?
Well, it's more secure than I'm standing right there shooting it.
Yeah.
They
They'd
still
have to be
gotta
pretty
go-
tall to shoot through
I
that
was gonna
window.
say, they gotta get a ladder, I think, to get.
Or have to ricochet.
Yeah.
You'd have to be a pool shark to hit
So those must be pretty valuable Christmas trees in there then.
Yeah.
Storage.
Personally, I think it'd make a better addition to the meeting room. It's a lot of work.
Oh, you
Just
tear
take
that
it.
whole thing out?
Yeah. Downsize it.
Of course, we might have all kinds of room downstairs.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that sometime.
You can put the DHS lady in that, just off where all the computers are, that room there for her privacy.
I was checking out his stamps. I couldn't figure out why.
Well, you look at it on here,
Oh.
you're looking at it in reverse. Sometimes it's not right. So you gotta-
2s and 5s can be confusing.
Well,
3s and
dyslexics
8s.
with the stamps, I got it.
When you get it far enough away, I can tell the difference between a 3 and an 8.
Yeah, I have to be.
Carla, is this from last week? Did you need this? This is Julie's report, I think. I'm not sure. Or what was that? Is that just an extra you gave us?
No, I wouldn't have given you an extra one.
That is. It was in my book from last week, so.
It's probably one of the account payable report.
It's not something Julie had stamped or anything, so.
We have too many Julies.
It wasn't me. It's not me.
And it's not something I printed because I wouldn't have stapled it.
Did we all get one or something? We all got a copy.
Turned out.
Hello? Yes. Oh, it's time again. All right, thank you.
All right. It's 9 o'clock. Let's say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Teamwork. Consider for approval minutes and agenda.
Motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Jensvold, seconded by Derby, to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed. 2, consider for approval appointment of Board of Health member. And Julie, you're here
Yes.
in person.
Yes. We finally found someone. She's willing to do it. She was our grant writer, so we had to come up with a conflict of interest policy. And I worked with Kelsey on this. Showed her a couple from other counties that have the same thing. And Jackie signed it, hasn't dated it, depending on what you guys. So it's Jackie Miller, and she still will be able to write our grant. She just cannot if there's a motion or anything regarding that, then she has to abstain from that. So,
Sounds good.
I think she will be a great asset. She knows a lot of stuff about the Iowa law and things that are happening at the state that will help us, I think, with how we're running everything. So,
I'll make a motion to appoint Jackie Miller on the Board of Health.
I'll second it.
The motion by Derby, seconded by Jenswold, to appoint Jackie Miller on the Board of Health.
thank you.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All right. How long is that term for?
She will be replacing Stephanie's, and I have to look. I think Stephanie was just, it will be start of her 3 years. This would have been her start in January for the next 3 years.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's how.
This last January.
Yeah,
So 2.5 years.
so 2.5 years, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, and each year she'll have to sign a conflict of
Yep.
interest statement. So.
And then just a quick, we had a comment that it was not she doesn't live in Winnebago County.
She does not have to live in Winnebago County. I've checked twice with the state. I've checked with my state consultant. She does not have to live in Winnebago County.
Okay, good. She'll make a nice addition to that board.
Yes, she will.
And if that's actually, your board's always well attended, so
Yep.
if she can't vote on
Yep.
something, it
Yep.
will not be an issue for.
No. And I went back and looked at the minutes, and there was, very rarely did we have something that we had to vote on for the use of the money.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's pretty cut and dry in the RFP what you can use it for.
So when will she be able to attend her first?
She had a commitment for June, so it will be our next meeting, which I believe we're shooting for August. Because we'll skip July. We always skip July.
So you'll send her the minutes from the last?
Yep, yep.
Perfect. Sounds
Alrighty,
perfect.
thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming over in person.
All right. Oh, I'm gonna listen till my other meeting.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, see, she didn't want to miss drainage.
You're right, I didn't. I just like to listen.
All right, Scott, you 7530. Hey, Scott, we're ready for you. Thank you.
I was gonna let you know, I had talked to the city of Fort City, and the third member we had put on that committee was not recommended by them. They thought he'd be too busy.
Oh.
So we might wanna make that person the alternate and make the alternate the
Yeah.
person on the committee.
That makes sense.
At some point, do we have to do that official like at next meeting or something, or? We,
I think you can do whatever you want.
I think the appointment of committee members was just,
they just, the people at Fort City, they just felt like the paramedic was gonna be too busy to make it to all the meetings, so.
that makes sense. Can we just change that to an alternate then?
Yeah, and then make Sally the regular member.
Main one or, yeah,
The third member.
third, yeah. Okay,
She doesn't live in Fort City, but she has a business in Fort City, and she lives a block from Fort City.
mhm.
Didn't want Buffalo Center's members, they don't live in town either.
Can we jump down to open forum at all? Is there anything on open forum? Oh, we're waiting for Scott to come up. Jump to open forum for just a minute while you were coming up, Scott.
Fine.
There's a couple. Let's see. Your place to sign is on the inside back page.
So which William Knowlton is that? Is that a young one or the?
He's the one that used to work here.
Okay, all right. So I knew the one that had the cafe in Thompson, but gone for 2 years.
Well, if he's dead, he's probably not working here.
Just clarifying.
It's in the bylaws somewhere.
Depends whether you believe in the paranormal.
All right, Scott.
Good morning.
No.
So this is, oh, there, okay.
Thank you.
Secondary roads.
Yeah, shifting gears a little bit this week, we started our rock and gravel run today. So our trucks are all working north of Rake right now, and they'll be working around Rake to Buffalo, Lincoln and Buffalo Township here for the next couple days probably, and then they kind of work their way easterly across the county. And after they're done, right now they're hauling rock from stockpiles in Buffalo Center. And once they're done with that, then they'll switch to hauling gravel from the Lewis pit and kind of do the same thing, work west to east across the county.
Julie has joined.
So anybody who sees that traffic, it's probably very dusty and very temporary. So hopefully we can keep moving without inconveniencing everybody with the dust. Too bad.
Probably won't be tomorrow though.
Speaking of dust, have you had some phone calls about the dust oiling people's, I've given your number to a couple people.
Yeah, I know that we've had a few inquiries about it. We always have a few calls right before, we allow it because everybody gets anxious to get started.
Yep.
We just like to have all of the areas touched up and in good condition before they're oiled, because
Yeah.
once that happens, then
That's what I explained to them, at least hopefully I conveyed it.
yeah,
Well enough.
we think it's in the best interest of both parties to have it in good condition before they oil it, so that
When
they
does
don't
that normally happen?
it'll be soon.
Just,
I
First part of
would
June.
say late May to early June.
okay.
Yeah, and pretty dusty spring compared to normal, I'd say. And our dirt crew's working on a couple tile crossings and work orders here. They're in the middle of one today, and they have one more to do, and some other odds and end work orders before we kind of jump into projects. We're looking to close R-74 north of Lake Mills to do a crossing there June 6th, tentatively start date. That project will take a week or two. We also got a few guys blading still, even though it's getting pretty dry. One guy has our disc out and about trying to work on some shoulders too.
See, they worked on that one between Scarville and 69. That helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how many miles we did blacktop disking, but quite a few already. Yeah, that does a neat job.
It does.
I think that's all I have.
Okay. Then we can go to 4.
So the gravel contract that we drew up with Lewis's has been sent to Todd and Riley, and initially a thank you, but no other feedback yet. So we did talk briefly about some of the details, and we went through one revision before I sent it off. So I expect them to sign it as is, but I haven't heard from him yet, so at this
So we
point.
don't have any action.
No, at this point, I think we'll table it and let him, have a chance to review it longer with whoever he needs to and bring it to the table when he's ready.
You're on board again.
We've talked about this before, but the city of Thompson's population dropped below 500 down to 498, which by statute requires the farm to market extensions through town revert jurisdiction from the city to the county. So Harrison Street and Thompson is R34, we call it. Harrison Street, they call it. North and south stretch there that goes by the pool and, the main stretch through town there will now be jurisdiction of the county. So this agreement covers that road specifically, but also addresses the gravel road that heads west out of town, and then any other work that the county might do for the city.
That's the road that goes to the airport,
To the airport.
or where it used to be.
Okay.
You remember that, don't you?
Mhm.
International airport, I would
That's
assume.
pretty much.
For Harrison Street, the county assumes maintenance and construction responsibility for the roadway. For snow removal, we take care of the center.
So what happens if 2 babies are born in Thompson then? And it's 500?
Won't
10
matter.
years before that gets
I was
changed.
gonna say, it won't matter till the next census.
Okay,
Actually, it isn't just 500. Once it goes below 500, it needs to go back up over 750. So we'll own this thing forever unless we have some major expansion.
Didn't know about that.
good question then,
Yeah, so
right?
they don't just trade back and forth every census.
Yeah,
And that's why it was set up that way.
mhm,
Yeah, so
interesting.
be something to see that town go up to 750, but, barring some sort of development or something unique,
Learn something every day.
yeah.
Okay, so that's already, the agreement
It's
is
been
written up and we,
Written up and been approved by the city. It's been reviewed by our county attorney, and it's ready for your final approval, and then it'll be recorded.
So the maintenance of the farm to market road is basically just plowing from curb to curb, but not the intersection. Or how does that work?
Yeah, so for construction, like let's say we had to do reconstruction through town, we would take care of the full width of the road. We would do returns, we would do sidewalk ramps, anything required by law for, with projects.
so do we have to upgrade anything? Because we're taking it over, do we have to do the handicap?
Only when you do construction.
Not,
Okay,
And it just got constructed how many years ago?
I think it was 2010 or 11, so not that long ago. We'll plan to do a little bit of a walkthrough on that road just to see if anything stands out, anything we would want to address. We'll inventory signs and little things like that.
It is the nicest street in town.
Yeah, very nice. Whenever it was rebuilt, they used federal aid from the county's federal aid allotment, and the county participated in the design and had it engineered. And
so why were you talking about the airport road though? I mean, what's significance? I
That's
don't,
another road.
We
in and
played
out of
that
town.
now.
so there's a gravel road that comes across into city limits, and I don't know if they have a grader at the city.
No.
They don't have any gravel streets except for
Oh,
that one little segment, so we just come in and do it.
I see.
It's
Was that always part of an agreement? Or
prior agreement wasn't written very well, I don't think, and so it's hard to say, but we have been doing it. So we're not making any changes there, we're sort of just codifying it so that it's clear going forward. And if,
Is that the road that goes out to the level B road that shutters
Yeah, it's the same.
though? Yeah, that's the troublesome level B.
Well, it's not level B there, but it
Right,
turns into level.
right. Just making sure I knew which road that was.
Are you still working on switching that one to a level C or discussing it?
kinda got sort of tabled.
Well, we're kind of letting you analyze that a little bit, I think.
The problem's over until next winter.
Yeah,
Nobody's getting stuck now.
for maintenance, we've elected to kind of give the city, I'll call it cleanup responsibilities for snow around whatever they want to do with the sidewalks, and then the returns of the intersections and up to the curb line, since they're more likely to have equipment that's, better to go along a curb without making damage to the machine or the road. So we'll make one pass through there, full width with our wing down, and that'll be our responsibility.
So do we need a motion on that? Or do we wanna see it?
I have that if you want. Assuming it's the same one you sent to us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one other thing to note is storm sewers and sanitary sewers and water mains and intakes and all those things that are typically thought of as like a municipal utility would also still remain the city's responsibility. Street lighting, nuisances for mowing and the
There's
right-
curbs all along there
Yeah,
too then, right?
almost all the way, yeah. Very north end and the very south end do not.
And you said Kelsey already looked it all over
Mhm.
too.
I'll make a motion to approve the 28E agreement for responsibility of roads and streets with the city of Thompson.
I'll second it.
Is that yours or is that Terry's?
That's Terry's.
We have a motion to approve the 28 agreement for responsibility of roads and streets with the city of Thompson. The motion, did you make that motion?
Yes, I did.
By Mr. Jensvold, seconded by Mr. Derby. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Similar subject, but our 2080 agreements were never recorded with any other towns except for Leland. So Kelsey has told me they're all basically invalid. So it would be prudent to update our 2080s with the rest of the towns, and even Leland probably, since it's maybe over 10 years old.
Is that something you and Kelsey are gonna work on?
Sometime will be on my list.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you had for us today?
I think so.
Okay. Auditor will discuss drainage matters. See if Chris is
She's
available.
not here.
Oh, she's not. Do you have anything for us?
No, just,
Just the next one?
yep.
We're gonna go to 7, discussion with possible action on DD 92.
Just as well come in.
I gotta do my deed for Sean's in there already.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
Yeah, these are full.
can we look at county claims or payroll or anything?
Yes, we can.
May 24th today, is that correct?
Yes.
Editorial powers like you do. Whatever you say goes.
Make it happen, right? Hard to do over the phone.
Yeah,
I guess I need your signature on this, Carla.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. And you know,
And then Terry.
no gavel.
Make it
Haven't had to
neat.
use it yet,
Recorded
but
forever.
nobody's gotten out of line.
The whack things that I go with it, Willie's for
I don't really,
Somebody
I
broke
don't really
it. Look
need
at the
one.
dent in it.
Really.
He cranked on it.
See, my handwriting?
Big.
Soft wood underneath it.
It's
Very big.
At least you can always read your signature, Carla.
Yeah. You probably had to,
At least the one I have now.
not in your collar.
Yeah.
A little tougher to fit all the
To
letters
make it
in.
all out, yeah. Just one big N. So some of those are from last week, and the two of you didn't sign them. Just Susan signed them, so that's the reason they're here twice.
Probably
Oh, I
didn't
see.
hand them
So
back
it
to you,
doesn't need
did
to be
I?
stamped, it's just,
It just needs to be signed.
I'll just cross this one off, leave my signature.
Okay, that'll be lovely.
I probably didn't hand them back to you.
And this is the one that I had that didn't get stamped last week.
Yep.
Well, that must be it, because it can't be our fault.
I'm sure not.
And I'm pretty sure that there's more, but they haven't came back to Julie yet.
So does this one have to be signed by
Morning.
Terry and Bill as well, though? Now I'm sending it back again.
Well, no, separate ones, she signed, she stamps everything, that's the, that,
Pretty good, you.
This is the fund summary.
oh,
Well,
was that our stamp or Julie's stamp?
that's ours.
Oh, it is, okay.
Sorry.
Their stamp, I just do one stamp.
All right. Number 7, discussion with possible action, DD 92.
Chris isn't here.
Chris isn't here.
Have the file.
Okay.
Carla's got it.
Gordy, what'd you find out?
The guys I've talked to said that's, go ahead with the project.
Do we have an actual estimate done?
Well, I think Chris took what your estimate was and kind of added some to it.
Yeah.
Prorated it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I don't know where we were at with it, was 300 or 450 or
Yeah, I think,
all,
450.
Yeah.
just got a bunch of stuff around, yeah.
yeah, I think what we decided was to do the whole thing and then, so what she did for a quote here was around 89,000, so,
And that's with the 15%
yeah, with the engineers.
for engineer.
Yep,
How much for the engineer?
15%? It was an estimate, average.
So you are gonna get involved with an engineer.
it's a improvement, so we
Who
have
decided it's an improvement?
the Iowa Drainage Association. And originally, when we started doing this years ago, Jim Witt talked to Jim Witt was the engineer back then, and it was an improvement clear back then. In 2005, when we looked at it back then. So I don't think that's ever changed. It has to be an improvement because of the,
Elimination of restrictions.
So every time a guy puts a surface pipe into a drainage ditch where it's a 12 and you put a 24 in, is that an improvement on that drainage ditch?
That depends on what's feeding that too.
Or if somebody decides that there's a 36-inch crossing and you gotta put a 60-inch, is that an improvement? I don't understand who's really deciding if this is an improvement or not. To pay 15% more for the engineering, what's the engineer gonna do?
Well, it may not cost as much as 15%.
Well, she just said that.
Well, that's
Well,
what
that was the
that's
answer.
what Chris did for an estimate, so that we wouldn't get,
You know, even though it probably wasn't meant to be, I mean, but when you are making an open ditch instead of that existing tile there, it is gonna increase the flow, so removing the weak link in the chain is an improvement, should it be? No, because it seems like it should have been designed, if it's this on one end and this on this end, it should be, but technically it is an improvement.
Julie has left.
Carla, I was just wondering, before 2005, I think this was, they tried to have this one other time, earlier
I'm
than
only familiar with
2000.
2005.
Before 2005?
Yeah,
I don't have anything before 2005 in this file.
I know that it had been approached one other time earlier than Jim Witt's, and that's why I'm just wondering what that.
is that the time, Gordy, when it was like $50,000 and it got turned down or something?
Yeah,
It was before that.
yeah. I don't-
2005, it was like 57,000.
Or maybe
yeah, it
that's
was
what I'm.
before this.
Yeah, I don't have anything before 2005 in this file. I mean, I could go back and look further, but
I was just curious if you had anything, to see if it was classified then a repair or improvement.
Has this engineer given any input on any changes or anything that was proposed to you people?
we haven't even gone
Yeah.
forward with the engineering yet because we wanted to make sure that Gordy wanted to go through with the project before we did anything else.
Did he, the one we're thinking about hiring, is he the same one that, didn't he reclassify this one?
Rick?
Yeah.
It was reclassified in recent history.
Yeah, so I think he's the one that's already got history with it,
So,
so it
his
may not be
involvement.
much to do.
Well, that'll be interesting to see what his proposal would be, if he's gonna do something out of this world. Cause this to be a higher price project than it is.
This guy's pretty.
Because I am a payer into that project too, so.
Yeah. He's been pretty reasonable on stuff.
He's the same one when we had a project, a two-county project down in Cassuth County. Another engineer came in and put all this riprap in and
Well,
everything.
that's what I'm
And we
afraid of.
went to him and he got it down, I don't know, what was the savings on that? About down to 50%.
400,000 or 500,000 was the savings.
Yeah,
Because I think the original estimate from the Cassuth engineers, that, I think the ones out of Algona, was 850,000, and the, I should think it was closer to 600, because, and then the engineer came in with a bid around 300,000, that he did, and then the actual contractor did it for less than that, so.
he's a reasonable person, he wants to.
Is that Rick Cooper?
Hopper.
So you're figuring the 15% is just high enough to cover costs for the engineer? It could be cheaper than 15%.
Hopefully, yes.
Oh,
So the-
Especially since he's been involved with it before, he already knows the.
So I wasn't in full understanding, 89,000 we're talking, did that include the engineering or?
That's what
okay.
Chris said. Is that right, Carla?
We did look at it multiple ways to see if there could just be a repair.
And Chris contacted the Iowa Drainage IDDA, and their ruling was that it was she described the project, and their ruling was that it had to be an improvement.
so does anybody know the right of way of this project?
The right of way?
That'll probably part of the cost of the engineering.
How much right of way is there on this ditch?
And then
You know, I read, called Carla, or Chris, I mean. I asked her, what's the right of way on these drainage ditches and tile lines? Well, she didn't know. She just assumed 25 feet. So I called Rick Hooper, if that's his name, right? Hopper. You know, I read in the Iowa Code book that technically it's at the discretion of the supervisors or an engineer. So you guys can make a right of way to be 100 feet if you deem that it's necessary to have a 100-foot right of way on each side of the ditch. Read the book.
Yeah.
It'll tell you, Rick agreed with me. He said, you're right. He said, I've read the book too, and there is no set right of way property. It's at the discretion of an engineer or the supervisors.
Most districts would have something in the original establishment showing how much
But
they
we may
could.
be moving this to straighten it out a little bit, aren't we? It was like,
Well, yeah.
so you're moving the.
I mean, so
right-
technically, you guys have the right to decide if you can pile dirt 100 feet on each side of the ditch, if you choose, if you deem it necessary. Would you agree? Just read the code, Iowa Code book. It's old, but Hooper said it's the same book he reads. So, if you start thinking about paying crop damage and things like that, you have the right to pick how much right of way the contractor has to sling dirt out of.
So all of this is on the county land, so we don't have so much of that right now.
Well, but any project he's talking about.
Yeah. But even this one, do you think it's necessary to haul the dirt off when you have a right of way to put this spoil on?
Is there a restriction?
Has to do with the wetland determination.
Yeah.
NRCS said that we could put it on that south field triangle there on the east side of the road, or across the road on that field.
Not along the ditch.
Well, along the ditch, along that field, I suppose.
But, yeah, part of it is a lot in the
And there's
field.
obviously no room on the west side of the ditch, so it all has to be,
But the spoil could be put on the,
To
On
the
the
east
east
side, it's
side.
quite a ways out versus moving it
south
that way
of the,
versus
south
trucking
of the
it.
parking lot. Yeah, because that's that field,
Yeah.
but not north of it.
you can't go north of
Why,
that parking.
why not?
Because the wetland
Because it's
determination.
wetlands.
But I thought there was
That's
no
high ground.
wetlands determination
No wetland.
up there.
He said, I think you guys have copies of it, where the spoil can be put.
I thought there was no wetland determination up
Yeah.
there.
Didn't Chris tell you that, Sean, there was no wetland?
I believe that's what her email
That's
said.
what I thought she told me.
Yeah, it was you, Gordon, that commented to me.
That'd be on the whole track then, wouldn't it,
Yeah.
Robert? Like where the ditch is, do you believe it's wetland to the east of that? There's a nice opening
It's a
between
little
the
dry there,
trees.
but,
It's higher ground, which I don't mean it can't be wetland, I guess. Or the
I'm just
peat's
going
low
with what
ground.
I'm just going with what he provided us. And you know, when you get where the parking lot is, it's only, 60 feet wide there from the road right away to the base.
Is the parking lot considered wetland? No. And either I wouldn't, if that wasn't, I'd think that opening between the trees to the east, I wouldn't think that'd be open, and that's a place a guy could cut the cost down versus trucking it, whether it's
We
1,000
don't,
feet or
I guess,
whatever.
I don't think the board wants to alter the whole, that wildlife area, but the understanding was that the soil would be put on those triangles, those two pieces.
That's how I
Since the.
understood what we were able to do with spoils.
So this bid that estimate we have, then does that include moving the soil out of there, hauling it?
I guess.
Yeah.
That's what you had on it, you know, it was trucking.
So you're saying if a guy takes, it's not the easiest thing to dig an open ditch when you got a 48-inch or whatever size pipe. So what I would do is kind of rough slope down to the top of the pipe, all that dry dirt away, then come back on the side and lift the pipe out, and then do the cleanup. So you're saying a guy can't even dump 3 buckets of dirt on that, along that right of way that the county owns?
You know, and you'd mentioned once, Terry, about, you know, building a ditch bank or there. Obviously not with all the dirt, but getting rid of the bulk of the dirt down to the tile.
Because you want to protect the ditch, so.
And then once the tile's out and some of that cleanup, I don't understand why you can't build a ditch bank with that in the right of way of the ditch. It's gonna cut down on a lot of loads of dirt.
You have to
Be
have
it
some kind of a top slope to keep things from washing in there.
But we think that, but maybe the engineer won't, being that this wetland soil on top. I don't
When I read that in, that report, or that, it was wet, if it's the one I remember, it was confusing the way they talked in circles, but then there was still one more determination to be made, right? So I'm not even sure if there was a final determination on that.
It doesn't look to me like we have a final determination.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not
So
sure if
Rick
that's
is
hold
gonna
this
have to-
up or.
But what the email that I have says that this is where they want the dirt, in that purple area right there.
In that triangle on the bottom there?
Yeah,
All of the dirt on top of that
Or
peat,
across the road.
on top of the peat.
So is there any tile right now in that triangle piece of the,
I don't think
Not
so.
that
are you talking the east or the west triangle?
the east one? I mean, if you're gonna put
Solid.
2-3 feet of dirt on top of this, it's probably gonna ruin that little 3 acre or whatever it is for cropping.
On the west, they're cleaning out that little bull ditch or whatever it is right now, taking all the trees and stuff out of that. Do you know whose that is?
No, the trees aren't coming.
Oh,
They
they're not.
should. They should.
Oh, the trees aren't coming out of there?
Why not go ahead and take them out?
If somebody wants to pay for it.
Well, the drainage district will be paying for that, correct?
Is it a drainage ditch?
It's a lateral.
So do you feel that none of this dirt can leave the site? Has that issue been brought out? If somebody wants to haul it out of there?
yeah, it can, if somebody wants
We
to
were-
haul it.
No objections to that then? You feel comfortable? If the engineer does, you're gonna have to recommend to the engineer kind of what's been discussed here. Somebody?
I think hauling out all of the spoils was certainly an option. It was just the expense.
But
Were we-
But how are you gonna get the dirt from the ditch to his 3 acres?
How good are you with the excavator?
Yeah, pretty good.
Is there a crop planted in that now?
It wasn't last week,
Is he planning on putting a crop in?
plan on, but I let him know that what's going on, and so he'll, he's usually a little slow getting that one in there. I don't know if he'd done anything on the, I don't think he'd planted anything on the west side yet, but, he works, like, does he work for Larson Contracting too, I think? No, he doesn't.
Maybe it's there.
What?
Angus did, at this farm.
Yeah, does he work somewhere else? I thought he did.
He used to work at Fleet. So a person could haul this dirt out of there. If a person wanted some of the dirt, there's no objection of somebody taking the dirt.
That was what I
Chris and I have always,
thought was the discussion, is that, without Chris being here, but that's what I thought I heard. The only reason that we were looking for it to,
it got no
End up-
more expense to the district or whatever.
Right, as long as they're willing to.
because it was quite a few loads, how many, what did we figure?
It'd almost be easier to go elsewhere with it than into that, but
50 loads or something like that.
Crazy.
it'd be easier.
And what did it add to the cost? We talked about that. Hauling it out of there,
25,000, what she had, but that was for 325 feet.
and this is more now.
Seems like it was 30-some thousand.
37,500.
Well, yeah, she re-estimated it, so yeah.
37.5?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we can't have it ruin the cropland either. I mean, that's way too much to spread on 3 acres, right? I mean, is that the general,
Well, the way I understood it is, I've always thought that just put it on the bank like you always do would be the best way, by far, the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
And that'll incur some cost if you dump all this dirt on Stephen's crop, won't it?
Say that again?
If it goes to this triangle on, and Stephen, if he plants corn out there, or beans, or whatever he plants, and he's gonna have to get paid for his crop, and he rents that from you, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking for that piece, I don't even think
3
it's,
acres?
it's a couple $100. It's not much.
Yeah, but that's what he may pay his rent,
That's
but
what
he
he
has
pays
his
rent.
inputs and his
Inputs are
potentials, he's gonna
$5.
wanna get paid for
He's
his
aware,
potential.
yeah, and, yeah, but it's 3 acres, so 3.5.
Well, that's $1,500
Per acre.
just for the
Right.
inputs,
Yeah,
not including the rent.
but he's aware of the discussions, Robert?
Yeah, I talked to
right?
him in the very beginning when this started.
Okay,
I thought it all had to do with the wetlands. We couldn't put the spoils along the ditch because of the wetland determination. We haven't even gotten the final determination on that yet.
I don't have a final.
I would think that
It's probably one of those things, you have to move forward with the improvement project before you can do wetland determinations. We went through that on that one over between Leland and Thompson.
see, this dirt removal's gotten to be kind of a big item, the expense item. And like we said, you can get down to the town, you get that dirt out of there, whether he takes some or we take some off-site. And she said throw a number at it, well, I threw the $50 load, I mean, what do you do?
At least
20?
40%
I
of the
mean,
cost
fuel's
is dirt.
expensive and, but if you could cut down a half of that, you know, and then you can, once you're cleaning the ditch, if that can go off to the ditch bank, well, you're gonna cut down half the dirt and a lot less of a fee.
the dirt has got to be close to 40% of the cost of the project.
Yeah.
Dirt.
Well,
If
and I don't
we
think
can
we-
do that,
I don't
We're all
think any
for
of
it.
us are opposed to that as long as
Yeah.
it can be done within the NRCS rules.
yeah. As far as changing the habitat in between there, all it's gonna do is add a layer of dirt this much more for an area out there. There's room for it.
Just for the purpose of clean water, we
Yeah.
need to bank it.
There's room for it there, and it's gonna cut the cost of this down by a lot.
Almost 40, it's 41.5% of the estimated anyway, cost of the project. So if you can eliminate that, I'm sure.
so we're,
What part of that 3 acres down there did you want for a parking lot?
The south end, it's solid down there, it's gravel. I mean, that's what would be the
Just
logical
down
place,
by the intersection there,
to the north, or to the east.
way up in the east corner.
That's where it's, you get out of the
He
peak.
wants it kind of across from Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the best place because it's south there.
Well, that's where it's gonna go, not down by the intersection.
You know, that.
So it's all gotta get trucked up there somewhere.
Well, it does anywhere.
I thought you could push
The
it.
parking lot, I mean, we could put a culvert in the ditch there and get across there and we wouldn't hardly need but a load or two of rock. No, it's solid down there.
Up east.
To the east, yeah, when you start going up the hill there, just.
So you wouldn't need a lot of dirt hauled up there.
I don't know that we need any dirt,
Need any
other
dirt.
than for the ditch crowd. That's the ditch.
So can the guy push it with the cat from up there and down south?
Not way up the
Not like
headlands.
that.
No, it's just straight south of that.
It's tough too.
That's tough to push dirt 500 feet.
Scrapers is probably the only way you could do it.
So where are we at on this then? We still need to figure out a determination?
The preliminary, the last thing I have from him was the end of April, and it was a preliminary letter, which you have. So he hasn't sent the final, but
It should be the same
it
as
sounds
what
like,
that.
yeah, I don't know that it was gonna change anything.
Can I see the letter?
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds like an unofficial determination.
Unofficial, official.
This is what we would look at, and this is what we would probably recommend.
It's a whole lot of, this is the one that actually makes some sense.
But will the final determination have anything,
I don't think it
change
would
anything
change
from
any
what
of
we
it.
talked about? No. I don't understand. Why would you need to wait for it? I mean, we're kind of worst case scenario now with what.
As long as you're
What
staying
I-
away from the wetlands, it's
Yeah.
not being.
Yeah, there's no reason.
What we need to do at this point is decide if we're moving forward. You need to tell me that we need to either yes or no,
Yeah.
contact Rick Hopper, and that's where we start.
And if you've already touched base, Gordy, with all of your
They said to move ahead.
landowners, they've talked about moving ahead. And then the details will come next. So I think that we are actually ready for some action on this, but then that was details to be determined. It is my district, so I can make the motion to move forward with DD 92, a consulting engineer, and NRCS, and
We,
Robert, you're gonna have to make sure that we have all the right info too.
I'll get a hold of Lane again today and see what he.
Okay, so
what his
that's
final
my,
letter.
see, I thought our right-of-way authority was now employed when there was a wetland. Now, that would be an interesting thing. If we have,
100-year-old right away.
yeah, then we should be able to put the spoils where it's.
actually, I fought that one really hard on a project, and I didn't have much right as a landowner.
Even in road right away, we're subject
I
to the
was-
same requirements.
Well, you
We've set pretty good
it's totally
precedents too
25.
over the years that we,
Yeah,
She tells me a right of way is always 100 foot.
well,
On
she's
these
never
ditches.
told me that.
That's what she.
100 foot where, from center each
Said
way?
50 each way. That's
So
what
if you
Chris
got
always
a,
tells
so if you
me.
got a ditch,
Yeah.
20 feet deep and a 2-to-1 slope,
Well-
the slope's out there, there's no
Yeah, I
place to
know,
put the
but they
dirt.
gotta put a number on it,
So
that's
then
what she
they-
always has said.
Then like Rick said, it's up to you guys to decide what the right of way is, according to the Iowa code.
we've always, on every ditch that I've ever worked on, we've done 50 foot on center on
Yeah,
every
that's what I've
project that
always-
we've ever
yeah,
done.
but
That's the number I had in my head, so.
But evidently haven't read the code book.
But not all of them are that way because they were determined a long time ago.
But,
Rick has indicated that some of these are very,
but most of them that I've worked with
Yeah.
over the years have all been 50-foot on center.
That's what she's told me, and if we do one and then we're out in the beans and do a clean out, and it comes time where the landowner says, hey, I want some crop damage. Well, she says, I get my 50 feet, I ain't paying you any of that 50 feet. That's what
But where's the
she said.
50 feet?
Oh, I just guess
From
from
the
the center of the ditch.
ditch?
Center of the ditch.
Yep.
No, and
That's
and
what
now
we've
that I
always dealt with.
remember, actually, it says in the code book, in the end of the project, you have 25 feet for access to pipes or whatever.
for a buried pipe, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that'd be typically if you're 25 feet from the center to the ditch bank and 25 out
you
roughly.
get a 10-foot ditch.
How deep do you think this will be through there? That it
It'll
doesn't
be 8
vary,
feet,
but-
I'm sure.
So we have a motion on the floor,
I
don't we
think
have to
there's
do a
6
second
feet,
before
5 to
we?
6 feet of dirt.
We have a
on top
We have
of
a
the pipe
motion.
and the pipe
It wasn't seconded?
Not yet.
So it's 10.
10
So we
feet.
can't have any discussion until there's a second.
That's right.
Right.
So anyway, to move things forward, there is a
I just want to
motion.
clarify the motion.
There is a motion on the floor to move forward with DD 92
To approve the petition.
to approve the petition that's, that Gordy brought before us. Do we have a second? Whew, that
Now
was-
we can discuss it.
Motion by Smith, seconded by Derby. All in favor, say aye.
Do you wanna have more discussion?
I was thinking
before
we
say
should have had a
aye?
little more discussion.
But we can still have discussion. This has to just go forward because, right? I mean, we can-
Want to make sure we're moving forward in the right direction.
Okay.
Get things.
No vote on it. More discussion.
So the motion that I originally got from Susan is to approve the petition, move forward with the project, and contact Rick Hopper. That was my
So-
motion that I got.
Are we going to, in a separate motion, appoint Rick Hopper as the engineer? Or is
I don't
it
think
part
we can do that today. I think that's gotta be another day that we actually appoint Rick.
of- Okay.
We can contact him, but that's part of the motion, but I think we need to appoint him another day.
Start the conversation with Rick. All right, I'm okay with that.
All right.
Was there anything else from you guys before we vote on this? Okay.
So the process, is it improvement, then does it go on bids, or are we working off this
I think if it's under a
If
hundred,
estimate?
it's under 100, or is it?
we are under the understanding of it's under 100,000.
Just the time we put in, and like I said, we want it to be as cost effective as
Oh, yeah,
it can
that's
be.
what we're looking at. We don't want to make a big.
And this dirt thing can get, and like I said, you'd be high on this, so.
It's all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. I think if Rick knows all of the details of it, we'll come up with the best solution.
I'm guessing he'll have recommendations also. He's
They
been
can-
at it for a lot of years, so.
I guess it's his decision then, instead of me throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
You know,
And we can look at it once he makes his best recommendation
They're
and,
both there.
So the one thing we
Talk
talked
about it.
about back and forth was, are we following the line of the tile, or which gets
Yeah.
close to that hill? Or are we gonna avoid it a little bit, avoid the hill?
So there's things he can draw up that could make things less or more.
yeah, and even that other little, I call it a bull ditch, whatever it is that goes west there, if that needs to be, he'll recommend whether that needs to be,
But that
That's
has
a-
no bearing on this.
Yeah, that's a sub-district. so-
but it goes
So,
into that, doesn't it?
Yeah, the water
Oh, no,
goes
that
through
is-
these pipes.
That is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not a sub-district.
but on this ditch, there's the
Not a
crossing
sub-district, it's
in,
farther south.
well, here, this comes in.
It's
Scott,
lateral.
do you know, I hear, Linda, that you guys are replacing the tube through the blacktop into this stuff ditch, I don't know the last.
Yes.
but not the one that goes through the gravel road on 470th, which is rusted and starting to curl.
We can look at it.
That
Don't have
one,
any plans to.
so we cleaned that ditch. Both of the aprons are tipped, separated, full of junk.
Okay.
Otherwise, through the road, it's concrete pipe, and without laying down in there, I feel there's nothing wrong with them.
Okay.
I don't see why that's gonna get tore out.
The one across
Through
the blacktop?
Through the
You can't
blacktop.
see through that one.
Can't see it.
Well, you can now, cause I pulled that apron
There's-
out.
it lays
We
there.
haven't ordered any pipe for it.
Yeah.
So it wants to dig it up. and see
I would look at it, cause I think
Because it's
it's,
like this.
well, that might be, yeah. And you're blacktopping the road eventually, is that
This year.
kind of the reason why?
Well, unrelated.
But yeah, if maybe they are separated through there. But the one in 470th, it's a culvert and it's starting to do that, buckle up on the
We'll look at
ends.
All right. Anything else on that, or are we gonna move on? Okay, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks. Carla, did you have some printouts? Did Chris leave you for the cost?
I have some, I don't know if you,
Make copies.
oh, 440. Right there, look at that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gordy.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Carla.
We're gonna go to 10, consider for approval of payroll claims.
Yeah.
So we have to make a motion.
Hadn't looked at them
Keep
all
going
yet.
back to work and
Oh, we
like
had-
that.
Not all here yet.
Yeah, oh yeah. You needed one. Did he? I think
We
so.
could probably,
See you later.
about
It's 10 o'clock.
Ooh, it is. Time flies when you're having fun with drainage. 10 o'clock, possible closed session to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate pursuant to Iowa Code, section 21.51J.
We have our paperwork.
I bet Carla's looking for it.
cheat sheet, yeah.
I don't think we do now.
Oh, sure.
So I got a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
You picking me up?
Yes.
Yes, you have to leave,
Not yet,
Robert.
but-
Not quite.
Crap, you got a closed session or something.
Yeah.
So you are.
So it is my understanding that the Board of Supervisors request that this matter proceed in closed session. Closed session for the discussion of potential purchase of particular real estate is necessary because, I'm supposed to be reading this, aren't I?
Yep.
Yeah, the bold is what you would need to read.
Yep.
Being recorded.
Because premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the county would have to pay for the property. Motion will be made. I move that the discussion of the potential purchase of particular real estate shall be made in closed session because premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the county would have to pay for the property.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Is that a roll call?
Yes. Susan?
Aye.
Jensvold?
Aye.
Derby?
Aye. Now we gotta switch over.
Before closing, the chairperson will announce a specific exemption under it. It has been moved to hold a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51J, and the members of the board have voted unanimously to hold the closed session. I ask that all persons other than the supervisors, county attorney, and county auditor leave the room until we come into open session again.
Just kidding.
Oh,
Sounds like a red green show. Everybody rise. You ready?
So we are discussing only the potential purchase of this particular real estate.
and I know nothing about it. I was
Okay,
just
so-
told that.
So I had a couple of questions for this.
Okay,
They have to do with two different parcels. It's to do with the public health project.
okay,
Okay, so the one option is tomorrow, the WCTA board will be discussing the possible sale or mostly gift. The way he's gonna push it is let him negotiate with the county, the manager negotiate with the county, the